Hey guys, it is. Whoop.
We did it again. No, I'm doing the intro.
You know what? This whole thing is the intro. Now you have to.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
I've got the Pitbull hat.
That's true.
I feel good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? Podcast about life in the music industry. Today, we've got a new friend that Bear found, sent to me, and I was like, hey, I want to be friends with her too. This is Kelsie Herzog. Bear, why don't you tell us?
Yeah, so basically, I discovered Kelsie. No, I found her when she was just doing her TikToks. So she's been curating playlists for a long time now, and she's also been like promoting local bands or like Midwest emo bands, just kind of like being a beacon in the music scene right now. And it's always really cool to find someone like that on TikTok. So I reached out to her. She said yes to the podcast, and here we are.
She said yes to being best friends, and here we are.
Mm-hmm. She didn't. She said no to me. She said no to me.
Oh shit! No. Sorry, buddy.
It's okay. I get it. You're cuter.
Hey, and everybody else just watching at home or listening. For you listening, this sucks for you, but just hop over to YouTube, then you can watch.
Yeah.
Bear shaved his beard off on accident. It was on purpose, but it was
a purposeful accident.
Purposefully on accident. And so you should pop over if you're listening. Go view with your eyes so you can see.
I will say this though, like, and I've told Pat this. It's like, you know how you kind of know what someone looks like without a beard. I'm not that guy. My voice no longer matches my face. And it's a problem. It's a genuine problem.
I think it's pretty much exactly the same. But if you are first-time watchers coming over from podcast land, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and let's be friends forever. Let's get into the podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. And today we have a very special guest. We have Kelsie Herzog. Now, Kelsie is a professional photographer, a lover of music, and a TikTok influencer. Kelsie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It was like, I was just actually looking, and the video portion of your intro is fantastic because this will be the first time people have seen you without a beard. And like when you kept like turning and stuff, it was all very dark and mysterious until you came right into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's like, you should just go right back out.
Oh, go back into
just go back out of focus, man. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like I was telling Pat earlier, like some people, you kind of know what they look like without a beard. You're like, yeah, I know what you look like without a beard. Not me. It's terrible.
It's still okay.
It was a mistake, is what it was.
My wife tells me I look like a 12-year-old.
It's my lip, man. It's my upper lip. I haven't seen it in years, and I'm like, why does this make me look like a baby?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. So the reason this happened, though, Kelsie, is when we were driving back from So What Fest, I'd convinced him that it would be a really great idea to go, because the cool hip thing that everybody's got, they got that long hair, they got a nice mustache, and I was like, go with the mustache, bud.
It doesn't work for large.
And he didn't
people.
like it.
I mean, I did it once, and then like I don't know what it was. I just couldn't repeat it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like fluent in the mustache like trimming, like how to shape it. So like obviously I messed up, and I'm like, well, here we go, all of it, and so I'm just waiting for this to go back. It'll be back by next week,
Probably, yeah. It'll be okay.
It's fine. So Kelsie, back to you, because Pat could talk about my beardless face all day, and you know what? That's for our after hours Patreon podcast. So you started doing photography roughly 7 years ago now. How did you get started with that? And what was the moment that you knew that you were going to be able to do this for your career?
Yeah, so I started out doing just like families and couples and stuff like that. And I wasn't really getting much fulfillment out of it. So during the pandemic, I got laid off from my job. I was a bartender and a server, so obviously couldn't work during that time. So I was like, why don't I just try to do photography? So I started doing like fashion editorial stuff just with like a few friends. And I was like, this is really fun and cool. So it kind of slowly built from there. And even like the beginning of my TikTok stuff was all photography. I didn't have any music or anything on there. It was just solely my photography. So I built up my Instagram from TikTok with photography and blew up really fast. And I started getting bookings like crazy, and it's just grown from there. So now I'm almost full-time photography, but I just do so much random jobs and stuff that I don't call it full-time, but yeah.
That's so pretty cool though, to be able to just like, I don't know, just like to let it happen.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like too often there's nothing wrong with this either. It's too often we go out and like we try to like make it happen, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's what most people do. But just being able to sit back and let things happen once you've already gotten the ball rolling, I think that's such a freeing feeling. And Pat and I have gotten there with some things with our playlist submissions where it's like, no, we don't have to like go out and, you know, get artists to submit. They just do it to us. And we're like, this is like really nice. Like
it's nice just being overwhelmed with the mass amount that come in.
Yeah. I feel
a different kind.
So you mentioned that you started off your TikTok, which, I mean, let's be honest, this is actually how we found you. This is how I figured out who you were, was through your TikTok, which is actually pretty cool because we mentioned this before the podcast started recording, but we've also had Olive on the podcast, and she's also a TikTok influencer who also does something similar to you when it comes to like promoting bands and just like re-listening to the old emo stuff. And I don't remember where she was from. I think it was Texas, right? Was she from Texas? Olive.
No, she's I think Ohio.
Yeah. That's
not even close to Texas.
No, not even close to Texas. It's just that's where I met her. That's why. But like the whole idea of like Midwest emo, which is like, I mean, if you're from the Midwest, you automatically know exactly what we mean when we're talking about Midwest emo. And if Real Friends, Title Fight, and American Football don't come to your head, then we need to retrain you. But we stumbled through you from TikTok. And then you had also mentioned that that's kind of how your Instagram started going, your business started going. So what drove you from going to doing, because you said you started off with like photography.
Yeah.
What drove you to pushing bands? What drove you to making playlists? What kind of curated that thought?
That's a good question. So I started off doing YouTube in 2016. It was kind of like a fun thing I did. I talked about vinyl, music, random albums and stuff like that. And so I was like on TikTok one day, I'm like, the photography is like kind of fun, but I want to do something else. So I just started doing band recommendations of the day videos. And after like my second or third one of doing it, my page blew up within like 3 days. I went from like 6,000 to 50,000 in a few days, and it was extremely overwhelming.
Well, you were also one of the only ones at that time doing that.
Yeah, no one was doing it. It was like kind of the beginning of the pandemic. Well, I guess it was like a year ago, so like a year into the pandemic, but still like music talk wasn't too big of a thing, so it was kind of new, which is
that. And like there's how do I say this? So Pat and I were in bands at the beginning of the pandemic. Pat is still in a new band called Clothesline, which they're pretty freaking sick. But so I was still in a band during COVID, and to your point, we're talking like music talk. It's always the other way around, where someone's like, check out my band. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Quite frankly, promoting yourself is what you should be doing.
Right.
But we've also kind of talked about this, Pat, before on the podcast, where we talk about putting your effort out there first, like getting involved in your music scene first before speaking about your own shit. So like, you know, hey, instead of going, check out my band now that I'm on TikTok, it's like, who's in the TikTok music industry? Like, who's doing this? And so what you've done, at least from my experience, when by the time I saw you on TikTok, I've already seen millions of other videos of check out my band. Hey, you'd never imagine this UPS driver is the singer of this band, or like, and that's all creative. And then I found you, and you took it and was like, you know what? It doesn't have to be about my band. I just want to hear like what you guys are listening to. And then on top of that, here's what I'm listening to. And it's not even like your own band. Like you're not even Were you actually, like, side note, were you ever in a band? Did you ever do that?
No, I play guitar, but I've never been in a band. I don't think I'd ever
That's
do
got to change.
music,
Be in a
but
band.
Let's all start a band.
Let's
right
all
here.
start a band. Just because
Right
you're not
now.
in the band doesn't mean you're not in the band.
I mean, no.
So with that, there was this authenticity to you. There was this genuineness of like, hey, I'm not really trying to get anything out of this other than actually just trying to support these bands and discover new music. And when there's that authenticity to it, it pulls you in, right? Like, oh, I don't have to feel like I have to follow this guy on social media.
Yeah.
Or I don't have to follow their playlist, or I don't have to follow her band, or like whatever it is. I just get to introduce new music. So you were one of the first ones. And then I don't know if you've ever heard of, I think his name is Joey. He's the guy, he's got Ohio in the state of Ohio in the back of his
Jesse Lee.
background. Jesse. Why do I always say it's Joey? Jesse Lee. And he's another guy who's like just promoting bands. And so between you and him, like there was this like community that you guys ended up like fostering. And it was really, really cool to see. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So at what point, and we'll get to the questions that Pat wrote down because in a second, but at what point did you start seeing, I guess I'll say, success, for lack of a better term, in your Spotify curated playlist that you made? At what point did you go, hey, there's actually like a need for this? There's actually people listening. At what point did that strike a chord with you?
Gosh, I don't even remember it. I just feel like it happened so fast that it's kind of a blur. Because
like one day I woke up with $50,000. Like that is pretty good.
It was really scary, but I don't know. I just remember going on TikTok live all the time, and I would talk about my playlists, and then a lot of people would ask me to make them playlists. So kind of from there, I do that on the side. But then like making my public Spotify playlists, I don't know, maybe last summer sometime is when like they all started getting traction. I'm like, this is crazy. These numbers are huge. I don't know what to do with this. And then I would just like promote it on TikTok and then promote it on my Instagram and all that. And just kind of, like I said, blew up really fast. And it was very overwhelming.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with what you're saying there is I have seen that you do, you'll make specialized playlists for people. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So like I said, it kind of started in the beginning of the whole TikTok journey for me. People were just asking me for playlists, or like, I love your taste. You always have new bands in mind. Could you make me a playlist? And I was like, well, how should I do it? So everyone was saying Patreon. So I've been on Patreon for a little over a year, making playlists. I think I counted the other day. I made over 500 custom playlists for people. So it's definitely broadened my music knowledge. I'd say I've made so many different types of genre playlists that I've never even heard of before, and it's been really fun. But
so now when you say, yeah, I listen to everything, you actually mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I listen to everything but country and rap and hip hop and pop. So you know half. You listen to like half of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that said, like, who is your favorite like Midwest emo band right now?
Oh, that's such a hard question.
I know.
I would say, I don't know if Algernon Cadwallader is from the Midwest, but they like kind of just got back.
They do encapsulate the vibe though.
They do. I don't know. People are weird about that, but whatever. I think that they're Midwest emo, but they are getting back together and they're doing a tour. So I've been listening to them a lot. I love them.
I mean,
sick.
So to make it a little bit even easier of a question, because I actually already had this question ready, was since our musical tastes, like all of ours, change from day to day, from mood to mood, could you narrow it down to 5 artists that are your currently favorite?
I literally wrote this down because people ask me this and I get so overwhelmed, so I'm prepared this time.
Look at us, Pat.
Nice.
We're just another
just
pebble.
another. But see, I thought, like, I looked at the fact of it's like, because it's day to day, you know, like
it is, yeah.
Like yesterday I was listening to, I made like a 90s country playlist, and that's what I was jamming.
Garth Brooks, my boy.
I needed some boot scootin' boogie, you know.
Yeah.
And but today I want me some Green Day,
which is funny because like the whole drive down to Texas was basically just 90s, which I was fine with the 90s, man. Like that's good. That's good for me too, which is funny because that makes me feel like I was born out of my generation, but that's fine.
But back to you and your
current five.
Current five. Okay. So I have MJ Lenderman. Have you guys heard of him?
I haven't.
I have not.
Like country-esque slowcore. He's really good. He's kind of a newish artist.
A country slowcore.
Mm-hmm. He has like a lot of twangy noises, and it's like slowcore. It's really fun. I like it.
Okay. I'm going to have to check it out because I'm intrigued.
I've been listening to Movements. I saw them with Knocked Loose probably a little over a month ago, and I was like, "Oh, they're good. I love them."
We just saw Knocked Loose.
Yeah, you went and watched Knocked Loose.
I had to watch from afar if I still wanted to work. You know what I mean? Like, if I still wanted to be like physically okay, I had to watch from afar.
I don't blame you.
Oh man, yeah. Okay.
I have Nurse Manhattan.
Okay,
that one sounds really familiar.
Have you heard of Worst Party Ever?
Maybe. I bet you I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna know exactly what it is.
Nurse Manhattan is a side project of Worst Party Ever.
Okay.
Kind of like ambient, fun, DIY.
Shoegaze?
More acoustic-y than shoegaze.
Okay, then maybe I don't know it. All right, I got homework. That's fine.
And then I have Casey. They're melodic hardcore from the UK. Really good. And then I have Algernon.
Yep. Man,
nice.
That's so.
I have a lot of homework. Apparently, I know.
So like, I normally pride myself with like, I know a lot of bands, but like, I only know for sure that like one on that list, and that's Movement. But
you don't know Algernon?
Oh, I do know Algernon. I haven't listened to them in a long time. They also broke up and then or stopped being a band, whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I haven't listened to them in a long time.
I honestly think I disappeared musically between like 2016 and like when did we start this? 2020. And now it's like I have this awakening.
Yeah, I feel that too. Because I was just listening to the same stuff for so long, and then once I started doing TikTok, I was like, "There's so much music out there, and it's
like, who is that?" Oh,
right, even like Title Fight and stuff. I'm still like I've only listened to a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
Oddly enough, I know this is like the quote unquote wrong way to go about it, but I discovered Title Fight through Turnover, which I know it was backwards because Title Fight was like not even a band anymore. Like since Turnover, like they haven't been a band in like over a decade or something like that. But I was like, oh yeah, Turnover's good. And then like my friend was like, yeah, they're shoegaze. And then that like, you know how like just like sparks, they're what? And then you go down the rabbit hole of shoegaze, and I'm like, this is amazing. They're like, why is it called shoegaze? Pat, you know why it's called shoegaze, right?
I don't.
It's because of all the effects that you have on your guitar pedals. You're always looking at your shoes, like hitting the effects pedals. Shoegaze.
I get that makes sense.
And then they make things like Helix now, and you don't have to worry about it.
I know you're very passionate about your Helix.
Thank you. Oh man. Okay, so if you could tell me right now, so obviously we have your current five, right? Your top five current. What are some bands that you would say right now on this podcast that we should be looking out for?
That's a tough one.
Like what bands would like, hey, you maybe don't listen to them now.
Why didn't you write these ones down?
Sorry.
You should have been more
harder
prepared.
Question.
Like if there was like, maybe let me rephrase. Like if you met somebody and you wanted to become friends with them, but they had to at least listen to these five bands at least once, What's like those bands?
Oh, it's so hard. Midwest Pen Pals. Do you know them?
I've heard of them.
Okay.
But again, I have homework.
Oh my gosh, it's such a hard question.
I think to be honest, over this past year, the only thing I listen to anymore is either just my audiobooks or our submissions.
Oh, well, and that's what's crazy too, is our submissions are great. Like,
yeah,
dude, and
but it's like,
help me out here.
You're not naming someone out of these submissions at this point.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
After doing it so much, I get just burnt out of music, and I'm just like,
help me out here.
I don't listen to much.
Who was that band that we had on our music video show that sounded like the 1975 but better? Do you remember?
Summer Heights.
Is that what it was? It might have been Summer Heights.
I don't know what the 1975 sound like, to be quite honest. Does that really surprise you though, Bear?
Honestly, like, no. And like you saying it surprised me, and then realizing it came from you.
Of the things you know that I listen to frequently.
It's true.
Does that shock you?
No.
Okay.
So Kelsie, the 1975, right? Like you, thank you. Kelsie, go away. Kelsie and I are gonna have a sidebar. One of the bands that I discovered over the pandemic is a band called Laney. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Laney.
Kind of sounds familiar.
They're 80s synthwave.
Okay.
So I have this whole pandemic, I have been synth waving it up forever. Like ever since Martin Johnson announced his new project, The Night Game, I've just been hooked. And then so like I discovered them, Laney, and then like even Emarosa like changed their sound.
They did
a lot, and it's better now. Like it's just better.
I like stuff a little more.
I get the nostalgia, but like they just dropped a new song called Preach, and it's like perfection. It's so good. But no, like, oh, this actually reminds me. I was like scrolling through my phone the other day. I don't know why, Emarosa, we're going on a tangent. I was scrolling through my phone the other day. I was like, you want to know how to have a successful band? Hire Johnny Craig as the vocalist, and then make sure you kick him out after, like eventually. Like that's all you got to do.
So bad.
I was like, if I could just have Johnny Craig like be in my band, we'd be famous, and then I could just kick him out, and then we'd be better. Because anytime a vocalist replaces Johnny Craig, it's still better. Like,
I mean, yeah, you're not.
I mean, he's a good vocalist, but like even Slaves now, like their new vocalist, it's so much better.
I haven't listened to them yet, so
like at all, or the new vocalist.
The new vocalist.
Gotcha. Because I mean, their last album was like really good, but like the master, like the mix on it was like really muddy. So I was like, this is like awful. But what it did was it made his vocals shine a little bit more. But like the guitars, it was all just like mud. I was like, ugh, it's just muddy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's side tangent. That was my Johnny Craig moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at you.
That was it, man. That's all I had. I'm burnt out now. My energy.
You got any questions for Kelsie?
What?
What?
So Kelsie, like growing up, what were some like, I don't want to say bands because everyone says, what were your favorite bands growing up? That's not really fun. Like, what were some of the soundtracks that kind of shaped you? So like, for example, like for me, it was Cheaper by the Dozen and Meet the Robinsons soundtrack. Like those soundtracks just like shaped me as a person. So like, what kind of soundtracks shaped you?
Do you mean like movie soundtracks, or can I just do albums?
Or neither or. If you want to do the album now, let's go.
So I can give you one soundtrack. Would be the Garden State.
Oh gosh.
That like got me into like the cutesy indie rock that I like.
Which is funny because Scrubs also did the exact same thing that Garden State did.
Yeah.
Like for me when it came to music. And I mean, obviously it was written by Zach Braff. So
I mean, both were soundtracks are heavily influenced by Zach
Oh,
Braff.
yeah. Mhm.
See, I
So,
felt the
I'm
same
already
way
happy.
like as Garden State as with Elizabethtown, if you've ever seen that. And that
so.
soundtrack is incredible
It's
as
a good
well.
one.
I'll have to check it out.
All right. Album though. What's the album?
So the first one that comes to mind, I think this is the name. It's called "Sinners Never Sleep" by Yumi at 6. Is that what
Okay.
it's
Is it
called?
Cinders Never Sleep?
It's
I
Sinners,
don't-
Sinners something.
I don't know.
Maybe it's not. I don't know.
It's a
just
Yumi at 6 album?
Yes, it's like one of their first ones.
Before they went butt rock, or like
Yes.
when they were still like pop punk
Like-
easy core?
2011.
So good Yumi at 6.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was a hard like cutoff for me with them. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whoa, this went like straight like butt rock, radio
Yeah.
rock. You know, I
It
was
was
like,
really popular in the UK now, so that's probably why it happened.
oh, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just over that here in the States. I'm over the butt rock, dude. Like when I heard that Motionless in White basically sounds like Breaking Benjamin now, I kind of like I
Oh.
was just like, oh, never mind.
Butt rock like Slipknot, right?
Slipknot is butt rock.
No, they're
Oh, yeah.
mall metal.
Oh, that's
Mall
right.
metal.
That's what you were saying. They were mall metal.
That's the difference.
Kelsie, have you heard that term before? Mall metal?
I think in passing I've heard of it, but never like someone actually used it.
'Cause I was 27 years old, like when I heard mall metal the other week.
Yeah.
Like that.
we had like
Mall
we
metal.
had an actual like there was a blow up for a second to where I became very angry with Bear. Like it was funny because I don't remember how it happened. We're talking about butt rock and then also Slipknot at the same time, and I misunderstood and thought he said like that Slipknot was butt rock. And I was like,
Alternative.
oh, was alternative. That's
Alternative.
what it was. And I got so mad for a second.
Oh,
I'm like,
sure.
no, shut up.
Which
Like,
was
it was
really
just a-
funny
it
because
was
it's
just a
something
big
that I would
misunderstanding.
say because I'm like I like I'm a firm believer that My Chemical Romance is just a blues rock band.
Oh no.
Yeah, he just
I mean,
he
it's
just
a good
wants to
blues rock
fight
band.
with people.
A little
But-
bit, yes, but also like, I mean, Frankie Iero or however you pronounce his last name, like if you listen to what he like listens to and his influences when it comes to like Zeppelin and the Stones and like those like early classic blues rock
and roll.
bands.
Yeah,
Mm,
rock and roll.
rock and roll.
Fair.
You know, people think the Eagles are rock and roll, so I don't really take that. I don't really take rock and roll as like the end all be all. Like you can't sit here and tell me rock and roll, you know, like Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith. Like you can't. You can't. This Aerosmith is like really poppy. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Guns N' Roses is pretty popular.
Guns N' Roses was still more on this not the steel, but
So-
like the more like rock.
It's okay. Once again, we're gonna go back to the best part about music is that it's all genre is an opinion.
It's an opinion.
Exactly. It
All it
is.
is.
I
Like
could-
Kelsie
I
said,
could say-
country softcore,
Slowcore, yeah.
slowcore. Like
that's just
that caught me
that's a
off guard.
created opinion.
And it's
What it
probably
is.
more accurate to what it actually is than just saying country.
Mhm.
Just
Because if you said country, I wouldn't listen to something. If someone was like, "This is
That's
country," I'd be like, eh.
well, this is part of the conversation that Pat and I had. It so what? It was like, you know how like iTunes labels everything if it's not like rap, rock. I don't even think they labeled metal at the time. It was like rap, rock, pop, R&B, country. Anything else was alternative. So it's like, oh, I listen to alternative. Like what? Mayday Parade and
Oh God.
Flyleaf.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We were talking about Flyleaf, and I said that was butt rock, and you're like, that's alternative. And being like grew up in the 90s, so like alternative to me is significantly different than
Mhm.
what alternative is to Bear.
Okay.
It's true.
But once again, that's all opinions. Yeah.
I'm only 27, so I'm basically 30. So which means I'm 40. So I've had a midlife crisis, and Pat and I are at the same age.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, you want to see my car I bought? No. So Kelsie, before we move on to our next segment, this has kind of been fun because like all I get to do is like talk about music, and I really like just like talk, even though Pat hates my opinions.
Don't hate all of your opinions, Bear. That's not nice to say.
I like how you said all. I don't hate all of your opinions, just most. It's my favorite. I love this man more than I love most men.
There you go.
Thank you. So with your,
I'll get it. Kelsie, if you could give our listeners one piece of advice that you wish you had when you were first starting out, what would it be?
In regards to music, or
let's say in regards to because like yeah, you do the TikTok, you're also a professional photographer. Let's say in regards to
following your dreams.
I was literally just did you catch this, Pat?
I did.
I'm gonna put a ring on that finger. Another one. I'm gonna put another one on the finger.
All right, so to follow your dreams, I would say don't force it to happen. I feel like a lot of people force things that they want to do to happen, and I was doing that at first. I wanted to be a YouTuber so bad and do all that, but I was just a bartender and a waitress for 5 years, and then now literally just happened out of luck. I didn't try to do it, it just happened. All of TikTok was just luck. I didn't force anything. It was just kind of like for fun. It's still like a for fun thing, so just let it happen.
Did you kind of just like let go of that sense of control? Do you kind of just like breathe?
Kind of, yeah. It was hard at first because I didn't know what to do with the whole music thing. I was like, oh, I'll just do band recommendations, and then I like started to try to force a lot of content and stuff like that. But after a few months, I was like, I'm just gonna put whatever out there, and now it's just kind of like, here I go.
That's the way to do it.
I
just
love
be
that.
genuine, be yourself. You know, if it's being forced, you're gonna end up not liking it as much as well.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you know, you can bounce around. It's okay. It's your stuff.
And I'm sure
Your
people just need to hear that. Yeah.
They
Like
do.
our listeners need to hear that. There are too many times when when I can tell you firsthand, when I was chasing my dream of being in a band, there are too many times where I got so caught up in trying to get what I wanted that I like forgot that, hey, you're playing with Mayday right now. Like, can you just like focus up? Like, or hey, you're doing some really cool stuff. Like, because it's always, oh, what's the next thing? And it's like you just get so caught up and you get so focused on this instead of just like being able to breathe and going, oh my God, like I'm playing a show right now.
Yeah.
So if that's you guys out there, if that's you, please take Kelsie's advice. Like, just like let it be. Let it just breathe. It's okay.
Let it breathe.
Let it breathe. Everything's okay. And with that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with our next segment.
Oh, hey, Jeff. Oh, gosh, hey. Thanks so much for watching the video. I wanted to tell you really quick about a bunch of new merch we got in. We got these super cool sweatshirts. Got stuff on the back. We got these new hats in. Oh, man, they're so freaking warm and comfy. We even got these cool shirts. These shirts are cool. You know, all proceeds go back into helping us be able to support up-and-coming bands, so be able to do this full time. So everything is super helpful. We've got these really cool bandanas too. Check them out. www.unsignedpoppunk.com. Link will be in the description below.
And we're back with our good friend Kelsie Herzog. Kelsie, thank you so much one more time for being on the podcast. This has been really fun. I loved like being able to get to know you and kind of like figuring out who the personality is behind like what I see on TikTok. So this is like really, really fun.
Yeah.
We're kind of gonna be done with the music segment. Like, there's only so much you could do. Like, oh, what's your favorite band? What's your favorite soundtrack? What got you to this? We get it. We get it. This segment is the obscure questions segment.
No, okay.
Yeah, we came up with this like 5 minutes before you joined the session. So these are going to be very obscure and to like probably pretty relevant.
Okay.
Because they were happening now. So Pat, take the first question, my friend.
I don't know where Bear wanted us to go with this, but Kelsie, what is your opinion on dinosaurs? That's all he gave me. That's what he wrote. That's what he gave me.
Yeah.
So my question, do you think dinosaurs were real? Let's start there.
Oh,
I'd say so.
Oh,
because I mean, you know, there's like conspiracies out there that they're not.
It's so true. There
they
are
are,
so
'cause
many.
It'd be insane if they were real. Like, could you imagine something that large just walking around?
like-
That freaks me out. The thought of it's freaky.
It's so freaky, but like think about this though. Like, and you know, I only read it on the internet, so it's probably very, very true. We don't actually have physical proof of what dinosaurs looked like. We don't have it.
No, because
We
we
also
have bones. you know?
right, but even then, those bones, it's just a theory, aren't necessarily proven to actually go hand in hand with the skeleton, that unless they like actually find the whole one like in fossilized, which that one's true, but like they'll like piece different sections of like bones together or whatever from wherever their archaeological dig was and be like, yeah, this could probably be it. So like it's only a theory.
Yeah, I've heard the ones in museums are all fake. Like the dinosaur bone exhibits, like all of them are fake apparently. Conspiracy, I don't know.
I believe that. I've never even heard that, but you said it now and I believe it.
Yeah.
No, the one in Chicago at the is the most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex in the world.
Yeah, but like they can 3D print that shit. And all I'm saying is like it's not real unless I get to touch it. I feel like I would know what dinosaur bones feel like, and they won't let me touch it.
If I felt it, I would know.
It would not, like that's plastic, you know, like I don't know about this one. This one feels like a horse. Yeah, like just saying.
I even just think that just so like if we're gonna continue to talk about dinosaurs, which I like dinosaurs, I think the newest, you know, the theories is that, you know, that they had like feathers and stuff is wild. Like it's just, you know, we never like spent our whole life viewing them like as a lizard, and then
right.
Like, oh.
And now think about this. Like it was like 5 or 6 years ago, they found a dinosaur's vocal box, like a voice box, fossilized in amber. And it more so resembled that of a chicken. So like, just imagine like this big ass T-Rex going around squawking like a freaking chicken, like and not like actually not roaring, just being entirely like a fucking chicken.
That's so scary.
Right? Somehow worse, just like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
If
That's
you
pretty
had
awful.
to be if you like you had to be like transported back to the
Mesozoic era.
time period, what dinosaur would you be?
Oh,
I
That's a
don't
good
even
one.
know. I don't know a lot about dinosaurs. Probably the one that flies, that a pterodactyl.
a pterodactyl.
Probably that.
Probably that one. That one's pretty badass.
So I wouldn't have to fight
The
any
most I know
food.
about dinosaurs is the ones on my son's PJs. Like, oh, that's a Stegosaurus, I think.
I want to be the one that's Chris Pratt's friend.
Aw, the little raptor.
Blue. He's a velociraptor.
Velociraptor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
do like velociraptor.
All right. If you could build your best version of a burger, what are you putting on it?
I don't know. I don't eat burgers too often. I don't know. Maybe pickles and ranch.
Pickles and ranch.
Pickles and ranch.
Yeah.
There's
So,
nothing
like-
wrong with a little
Lettuce,
pickle and
like-
I
ranch.
don't know. I don't like
Cheese?
tomato.
That's fair.
Cheese is okay.
Cheese. So no cheese.
Oh, we'll do cheese this time.
So there would be cheese on your burger,
Yeah.
pickles, and ranch.
Yes, I love ranch. Ranch is good.
It kind of makes me want to pickle a cheese.
I'd fuck
ranch
with that.
burger.
I'd try
Yeah,
that.
I mean, like, I'd
For
fuck with that
sure.
too. Like, and it's got to have a sesame seed bun.
Yep, that too.
God, why? That actually sounds
What
like a really good.
The
It's
fuck is a
simple.
sesame?
Exactly.
It's simple.
Not too
Eh,
intense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Lastly, if you could be in any band that is currently active, which would it be?
I would say either Hot Mulligan or City and Color. Either or. Very different sides of the spectrum, but
both still very good. Also, have you seen Hot Mulligan's TikToks?
I think a while ago.
They're pretty great.
They were
trolling
real hard for a while. And it was
real hard.
Fun.
Yeah, they're funny. I love Hot Mulligan.
They're so good. I love them.
All right. Well, this brings us to our last segment of the podcast, and I'm going to let Pat take this one away.
Okay. Well, this is rapid fire questions. Okay. You're going to speak from the heart, shoot from the hip. And it's very, very simple. I'm going to give you a couple options. You're just going to tell me whichever one pops in your head first.
Okay.
All right. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Can I say Lord of the Rings?
I was just going to say, I was
fair.
literally
You know
just thinking about
I
was like, if she says Lord of the Rings, I'm fine with this.
I think we should update it to have that as like just
we had
Star
one,
Wars, Star
remember?
Trek,
Like
because we did that before
with like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
But in parentheses, we had Tekken.
Yeah,
like bonus points if they said Tekken. We should do that for this one.
Yeah, so Lord of the Rings. That's fair.
That's fair.
I like it. Mario or Luigi?
Mario.
Okay, I'm going to add, this is a very important one, and I really don't want to have to sing it, so I have faith in you. Don't let me down. Can you sing us the jingle for Bagel Bites?
I don't know.
Do you know what Bagel Bites are?
Yeah, I used to eat them all the time. There's a jingle?
You don't remember what the commercial was, the song?
No.
That means Pat has to sing it.
I'm so
pizza
sorry.
in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza at supper time. When pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime.
I might be too young for that. I've never heard that.
You've never see? Okay, I mean that is fair. That's fair. I am
old.
A bit of an oldie, a golden oldie.
This is what you see. Like I have different jingles stuck in my head, like JG Wetworth 877 cash now.
Yeah, I mean everyone's got that, you know. But I think we've got a couple with the Bagel Bites.
We did.
I didn't have to say.
Yeah,
we did.
A couple. Okay, we got a couple more here. Gwen Stefani or Haley Williams?
Haley Williams.
Hard shell or soft shell tacos?
Soft shell.
This is the last question. Sum 41 or yellow card?
Probably yellow card.
Okay. That's it. You did it. You passed.
You did it. That was it. Congratulations, and you made it through the podcast. Kelsie, thank you so much for being on this podcast. You're an absolute gem.
Thank you guys for having me. I
Absolutely. But before you go, we want you to tell our audience and our listeners and my mom what you got going on next. Like what's the future look like for you?
Yeah.
Whether it comes to social media, where can we find you? Just promote yourself.
Yeah. I'll still be on TikTok at the Yellow Button doing music stuff all the time. I'm on Instagram at the Yellow Button with 3 L's, making playlists for people at patreon.com/Kelsie Herzog. And I don't know, just doing a lot, making a lot of playlists, taking a lot of pictures, hanging out, enjoying summer, going to concerts.
How can we book you as a photographer?
You can go to my website at kelsieherzogphoto.com.
Ooh.
And I'll be there.
Hell yeah. Well, Kelsie, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Guys, this has been another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. And we'll catch you next week.
Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe. Thank you to those who already are. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, or anywhere else you stream your podcast. If you're in the position to help us grow, head over to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/unsignedpoppunk. Let us know in the comments below who you'd like to see on the show and what other content you'd like to see. Thanks so much.